And these are what a lot of the tribes are collecting. They're collecting their seeds so that in the future we still have that genetic resource.
So this is a stress response. It's effort to try and stay alive, but the real telltale signs are these right here.
These holes aren't what's killing this tree. They're just signs a woodpecker knows it's in trouble. The damage has been done inside by baby bugs feeding beneath the bark.
Well, these are flat, and they're specifically designed because they have to feed just beneath the bark. And they feed in this zigzaggy pattern.
I approach science in a way that's really interdisciplinary. We have these complex problems like invasive species and climate change that cannot be solved by one single scientific field. We need to bring scientists and communities together to solve these problems.
So this is Fraxinus ude.
This is an emerald ash borer, the invasive species killing ash trees across the country.
It's already killed tens of millions of ash trees, and it's continuing to spread. As a biologist, I often think about what does emerald ash borer do to an individual tree. But in working with people like Mike, we learn what does that tree mean to broader communities.
For American Indian communities, the loss of ash impacts everything from stick games like lacrosse to basket making.
That's going to be not just a physical problem on the landscape, but psychologically and mentally, we need to think through these things. Ash is really nice because it has growth rings, and those growth rings slide and bend and are very supple. So you basically heat it up and you can bend it.
Much more than traditional stick making will have to adapt, perhaps in the same spirit of the ash branch being bent and reshaped.
Invasive insects like this emerald ash borer, that doesn't recognize a political line on the map that says this is tribal land, this is federal land, this is state land. It doesn't recognize that. It's coming anywhere. And if we don't work together, all these problems are much more difficult to deal with.
Mike Dockry brings a combination of science training to his work at the U.S. Forest Service.
Mike really does transcend going from the social science to the environmental science, can speak both eloquently and has a passion in both.
His boss says Dockry doesn't just walk between two or more disciplines, he dances among them. Colleagues agree.
I'm a kind of narrow social scientist. He has both the ecological and the social side of things in his background and the way he looks at things. So he has this multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary perspective that he always brings, and it's a much more holistic perspective.
My kids, I tell them that I read, I write, and I talk to people. But they know that the national forests are really important for us as a country. It's important resources for the tribes as well.
And there are many, I believe there are...
Besides creatively considering solutions to invasive species, Dockry is part of futures research, trying to anticipate the impact of unforeseen global changes on forests.
His whole life by being exposed to that, and there's more than one way of thinking, and yes, the book might say go this way, but over time we've gone that way, and Mike brings that to it, and Mike brings ways of thinking that are absolutely critical to our success.
A core value that I have is that we all have something to learn and to teach each other. So we're learning and teaching at the same time, and we need to do that. And that's how we can get the sciences working together. So it's not just a forest problem with trees, or it's not just a bug problem. It's a people problem.